Hello, I am Tanya, and this is Doug. We are from York Works, and we are so glad you are here. By joining us today, you are well on your way to writing your attention-grabbing resume. Grab a pen and paper or download the workbook and prepare to get started. Just watch the video, pause, practice, and build your resume. And if you need some help, we're here for you. So let's get started. Whether you are just starting your career, making a career change, or want to update your resume, this course will help you build an attention-grabbing resume for each stage of your life. A resume is a self-marketing tool comprised of your knowledge, skills, and abilities. It's really an ad for the brand of you. This course has 3 sections. In the first section, you will learn how to target your resume and grab the employer's attention using job postings and keywords. Then, you will learn how to build your resume. You will learn how to identify and use the major components to capture the employer's attention. In the third section, you will learn how to identify and use the best resume format to showcase your skills and experience. Now let's get started. Now, what do you think is the purpose of a resume? I often hear clients say the purpose of the resume is to showcase my skills or showcase my experience and tell the employer all about me. But the purpose is to get an interview. Your resume is not an autobiography on everything you've ever done. It's about where you are going next in your career. Therefore, it needs to be compelling and relevant to the job you are applying for. Otherwise, it may end up in the recycle bin. Research has shown that employers typically take only 6 seconds to scan your resume and decide if your resume goes to the yes pile. Your resume is one of the most important documents you will ever write, so don't rush it. And it needs to be accurate and truthful. It is your first point of contact with an employer. You want to grab their attention so they call you in for an interview. The first step in developing a resume is understanding and using the job posting and keywords to effectively target your resume. Let's look more closely at job postings. Some of you may not be familiar with job postings. A job posting is an employer's advertisement meant to attract job applicants. You can find job postings in newspapers, on job search websites, government websites, company websites, and of course on yorkworks.ca. The job posting notes the skills and abilities the employer is looking for in the ideal candidate. These skills and abilities become key words used by employers to quickly identify top candidates. Keywords describe the requirements of the position, the experience, the required level of education the employer needs and wants, and 2 important skill sets, the hard or technical skills and soft or transferable skills. Here's Doug to talk about hard and soft skills.
You have 2 types of skills that are important to employers. You have your hard skills, which are your technical skills, and you have your soft skills, which are your transferable skills. These skills are important to employers, so you need to include them in your resume. So, what's the difference? Your hard skills or your technical skills are the abilities and knowledge that you need to perform certain tasks. They require training or experience. You've already done them or you've learned how to do them. For example, you may have a science degree. You have the ability to type. You are certified as a welder, or you've got software proficiency. You can excel in Word, PowerPoint, any type of software. Your soft skills, your transferable skills, are skills and knowledge that you've learned and developed throughout your life. They can be used and applied and transferred wherever you go. For example, you're organized, you can lead, you can solve problems, and you've got time management skills, or you're a team player. These are skills that are very important to employers, so you've got to include them on your resume. So speaking of your resume, let's get back to it.
Okay, now let's look at the keywords that identify the skills and requirements in this job posting for an administrative assistant position. You have a copy of this job posting and others in your workbook. You can pause the video and find the keywords. Now let's look at the keywords together. What is important to the employer? Some keywords can be found in the second paragraph. For example, team, taking pride and ownership, exceed expectations. So they are looking for a team player and someone who takes pride in their work and strives to exceed expectations. The next paragraph describes the specific requirements of the position. For example, provide professional administrative support. Notice administration is mentioned frequently. This is important to the employer and must be reflected in your resume. Look at the next paragraph. Here are some other examples. Strong computer skills in Microsoft Office and Outlook, excellent communication and interpersonal skills, and a valid Class G license with a clean abstract. So to recap, you should only apply to positions you are qualified for. So you should have the education, skills, and experience the employer is looking for. Be truthful about your level of expertise. Make sure you read the posting carefully. Follow the instructions on how to apply. Now you know how to look for keywords and find what the employer is looking for. Did you know keywords and computers are your friends? Well, they are. Today, most large companies and recruiters use applicant tracking systems, ATS, to screen candidates. It is vital that you are aware of the screening process to give yourself the best chance of getting an interview. When you submit a resume online, it is scored by a computer for relevancy. How well your resume matches the keywords in the job description or job posting. Resumes that do not match what employers are looking for are weeded out. Therefore, the more you use the keywords, the better the chance your resume will be reviewed by the employer. In closing, targeting your resume means that you're not using the same generic resume for each job you apply to. You must include information about you that is relevant to the job, and you must change your resume for each job by inserting keywords from the job posting. To recap, you have learned how to use keywords and the job posting to target your resume. In the next section, Doug will teach you how to identify and use the major components to build your resume.
Hi, I'm Doug. In this section, you will learn how to identify and use the major components required to build a resume that will grab the employer's attention. These are the components needed to build a resume. Your contact information, an objective or a headline, the summary and profile, your work experience, your education, professional development, any volunteer experience, relevant associations and memberships, any awards and acknowledgements, and your hobbies and interests. We will look at each section separately. So, who the heck are you? Your name at the top of the resume is kind of important, so let's make it big and bold. Make your name bigger than the bulk of your text. You can use a font size of 16 to 20 points. Your phone number and your email address are important. Be sure to include them. Set up a Gmail account for your job search and keep it professional. Use your first name or initial and your last name at gmail.com. Do not use your date of birth in your email address. So what about LinkedIn? Over 90% of recruiters and hiring managers use LinkedIn. If you are not on LinkedIn, Google LinkedIn and set up your account now. And on that note, how is your online presence? Once an employer is interested in you, they will check you out online. Make sure that what you post online is what you want employers to know about you, because they are checking you out. The next component of your resume is the objective or headline. An objective is a short, targeted statement that clearly states where you are headed next in your career. There is no such thing as a general resume. As Tanya pointed out, you need to target your resume for every job you are applying to. For example, if you are applying for 4 different jobs, then you should have 4 different objectives. Your objective changes for every job you apply for. Let's look at a couple of examples. Is this a good or a bad example? Looking for a position that allows me to fully utilize my skills and attributes and provides professional advancement opportunities. This is a bad example. Why? Because it only talks about you, and it does not tell the employer that you want their specific job. Is this a good or a bad example? A position as a special events coordinator with ABC Company. This is a good example. Why? Because it is specific and targeted, and it's telling the employer that you want their job. Headlines are also called branding statements. They can be used instead of an objective. Your headline should include the job title of the position you are applying for and specific skills you want to emphasize to the employer. Let's look at an example. Okay, so where are we with Anne's resume? It includes her contact information and either an objective or a headline. As you can see, Anne's headline includes skills she wants to emphasize to the employer. You can pause the video now and add your contact information and your objective or headline to your resume. The next component of your resume is the profile or summary, which is designed to capture the employer's attention. This would include your knowledge, skills, abilities, and education. Here are some examples. Knowledge of excellent customer service practices and procedures. Skilled in planning events and organizing venues. Ability to work with minimal supervision under pressure in high-stress environments. Experienced in working with vendor databases. Completed grade 12 diploma. Fluent in English and French. As you can see, we have added the profile summary components to Anne's resume. We're focusing on her knowledge of excellent customer service, the ability to work well both independently and as part of a team, skilled in planning events. You can pause the video for a few minutes and develop your own profile summary. Now we will build the components of your resume that details your work experience that is relevant to the position you are applying for. What were your responsibilities? What did you do? The employer needs to know. Think about what you did in recent jobs and what you did in past jobs. Make a list of your responsibilities, everything you did while in that position, starting with the most recent and working backwards. You can list all your employment history and the places you worked, but no dates going further back than 10 years if possible. If you have an old resume, use that as a guide. Hiring managers look for strong action verbs. They are essential because they define your specific experience and skills. For instance, don't say you were results-driven. Show the employer your results. Phrases such as responsible for, helped with, or assisted in are weak and passive. Do not use them. Instead of responsible for a project, try action verbs such as chaired, coordinated, or prepared a project. Here are some examples that make an impact as they concisely convey action verbs. Served 100 customers weekly. Developed strategies that. Prepared documents. Analyzed weekly reports. Coordinated production schedules. In your workbook, you will find a list of 185 powerful action verbs, or Google action verbs, and you will see lots of examples. You have to be able to answer the question, so what? What did you achieve while working, in school, or while volunteering? Duties and responsibilities are not the same as achievements or accomplishments. Achievements and accomplishments are tangible proof of your past performance. They are most powerful when you quantify them using numbers, dollar signs, and percentages. Remember, Results are most important to employers. If you were good at something, now's the time to talk about it. Think about the things you achieved in jobs, at school, your group activities. Emphasize these things, even if it seems like bragging. Here's an example of action verbs and achievement accomplishment statements. Notice the numbers and percentages. Developed, there's an action verb, resulting in a 20% increase. That's an achievement. 100% on-time delivery, that's an achievement. By leading, there's your action verb. Achieved, a 98% customer satisfaction, that's your result. By ensuring that products were delivered on time, those are your action verbs. This is what makes an employer interested in you. If you are unsure of your achievements, ask yourself these questions. What did I do that was above my normal job duties? How did I stand out among other employees? What new processes did I implement to improve things? What problems did I solve? Did I ever meet or exceed goals or quotas? Did I save the company money? Did I reduce costs? Did I boost revenue or profits or help improve the bottom line? These are your achievements. You can pause the video here. To help you get started, read the job posting. Look for similar words or phrases in the posting and compare them to what you have done. Write an achievement for each duty or responsibility if possible. Remember to use the action verbs and quantify your achievements. The work experience component of Anne's resume notes her responsibilities, her action verbs, her achievement statements, and her quantifiable results. Now we will build the components of your resume that describes your education and professional development. In this section, you will need to include all relevant education, training, and professional development that you have obtained. List your education in reverse chronological order, noting the most recent first. Include dates for the past 10 years only. When we hear the word education, we tend to think about, where did I go to school? What we forget about is the additional training courses we may have completed. This is what is referred to as professional development. Here are a few examples. Your education and professional development is listed in reverse chronological order, most recent first. You'll notice that the adult education certificate, which you started in 2018, is still in progress. That goes first. Next is the Excel training that you completed in 2018. Following that is your leadership and effectiveness training. That was in 2015. Finally, your Bachelor of Science degree. You'll notice that there is no date beside this. Do not put any dates on your resume that go any further back than 10 years if you can help it. The next component of your resume is about your volunteer experience. Recent research, 82% of decision makers stated that seeing volunteer work on a resume would make them more likely to hire. Some of the things you did or do as a volunteer may be relevant to the position you are applying for. Include the details of your experience in this section. List your relevant volunteer positions, professional associations, and affiliations as well, all in reverse chronological order. The next component of your resume is about any awards and acknowledgments you have received. List your awards and acknowledgments in reverse chronological order. Your hobbies and interests tell the employer a little bit more about you. Along with the other components of your resume, they tell the employer if you are a potential fit with their team. If you don't fit in with the team, the employer cannot afford to hire you. Well, on Anne's resume, we have now included her education and professional development, her volunteer experience, her awards, and her hobbies and interests. Now you know how to identify and use the major components to build a resume. In the next section, Tanya will discuss the best formats for your resume.
In this section, you will learn how to identify and use the best resume format to showcase your knowledge, skills, and abilities. There are 3 resume formats or styles: chronological, functional, and combination. You will find examples of each resume style in your workbook. We will start with the chronological resume format. It is the most popular and well-known style. A chronological resume lists work experience, education, and volunteer experience in reverse chronological order, starting with your most recent experience first. List your title, company name, the years of employment. List only your work history for the past 10 years, unless you have been at the same company for longer. This resume format emphasizes job titles, organizations, and dates. It demonstrates career growth and continuity. The chronological resume style works best for job seekers with no significant employment gaps, who have worked in the same industry for several years and who wish to continue in the same type of work. The advantages of a chronological resume are that it's easy to prepare, it provides a review of your most recent experience, it is easy for the reader to follow, and most recruiters and employers prefer this style. It is also the most computer and ATS-friendly format. Some disadvantages of this resume format might be that it shows employment gaps and highlights frequent job changes, so it may be less appropriate for job seekers who have left the workforce for periods of time. Other disadvantages are that it does not effectively emphasize skills. It can reveal a lack of experience or a lack of career growth if you have been in the same position for an extended period of time, and the job duties can be quite repetitive when presented in this format. Here is an example of a chronological resume. Here you will see how the information is laid out. Starting with Anne's contact information, objective statement or headline, followed by a summary, profile, or highlights section. Your work experience is then listed in reverse chronological order with your most recent job first, followed by the second most recent, and so on. Here Anne lists her position as an events coordinator. Note how she uses action verbs to describe her responsibilities and achievements. For example, increase sponsorship by 60% within 2 years by effectively coordinating special donor events. Now, a chronological resume doesn't work for everyone. To help you decide which style to use, look at this checklist. Do any of these apply to you? I have gaps in my work history, periods of unemployment. I am new to the workforce. I have no paid work experience. I am re-entering the workforce after being away from it for 6 months or more. I have been laid off, quit, or fired from 2 or more jobs within the past 12 months. I am looking for work in a different field from the one I previously worked in or have been educated in. I have a lot of different skills not related to my work experience. If you said yes to any of the above, you should use a functional style of resume. A functional resume style works best for you because it zeroes in on your skills and strengths and focuses less on your work history. A functional resume format is also referred to as a skills-based format. With this resume format, you group your work experiences into relevant skill headings. The information is organized in a way that highlights both technical and transferable skills. Work experience headings can include technical skills such as computer, driving, cooking, compassionate care, selling, or administrative, or transferable skills such as communication, interpersonal, and problem solving. Some advantages of the functional resume are that it is a great resume format for individuals who have contract work, who have employment gaps, limited or unrelated work experience, or who are making a significant career change. This type of resume is also terrific for recent graduates with limited work experience or for high school students looking for their very first job. Now let's look at the disadvantages. One drawback of using this type of resume is that some recruiters and employers dislike this non-traditional format. Some find this format difficult to read, and others feel that this less straightforward format might be an applicant's attempt to hide something from the employer. For example, some dates on your work history may be omitted if your experience is from more than 10 years ago. Employers will expect that you address the gap should you be invited for an interview. Here is an example of a skills-based, functional style resume. As with the chronological resume, the contact information, your objective or headline, and summary profile are at the top. This next section is what makes a functional resume different from a chronological resume. Instead of work history, there is a summary of experience and skills heading. Instead of detailing position titles, company names, and dates, you feature 2 to 3 skills that are essential to success on the job and that are your strengths. Under each skill heading, list all your accomplishments from your previous work experience, volunteer work, work placements, education, and training. For example, under the skill heading Events Coordinator, note the accomplishment 30% increase above goal. On page 2, Anne continues to highlight her accomplishments under the skill set headings, administration, and then customer service. The third resume format is called a combination or hybrid resume format. This style blends the best of the chronological and functional resume formats, equally emphasizing transferable skills and a progressive work history. The combination resume style is considered an ideal marketing layout because it highlights skills and accomplishments, then provides an account of work history. The combination resume style works for job seekers who have a strong work history with no significant employment gaps, have skills related to the job they are applying for, or who are looking for career advancement within the same organization or industry. Advantages of a hybrid combination style are: it is visually appealing, easy to read and understand. It showcases your skills up front so the employer can quickly see your top credentials. It provides employers with a chronological employment history with titles, company names, and dates of employment. For those with a strong work history, it highlights skills acquired while progressing in their career. Some disadvantages: it does not match skills to specific employers or job titles. The work history may show employment gaps, and unrelated experience will be more apparent than with a functional style. Here is an example of a hybrid combination resume. You will find an example in your workbook. As with the other two styles, include your contact information and objective at the top. Next, include a skills summary. Here you will use bullet points to list your strongest credentials. Then, if you have a relevant work history, include a work history or professional experience section in reverse chronological order that presents the essential elements of your employment history. Anne's subsequent work experience is continued on page 2 of her resume, noting her position as a special events and fundraising coordinator, followed by her education, volunteer experience, acknowledgements, hobbies, and interests. Now you know how to identify and use the 3 resume formats to showcase your skills and experience. Here is a quick recap. Chronological. This style is organized by your employment experience in reverse chronological order, and it is a good choice if your experience has been in one field and you plan to stay in that field. The functional style is organized by accomplishments listed under 2 to 3 skill headings, followed by your work history. This style may be the best choice if you have little or no work experience, employment gaps, or are making a career change. And the combination style is a hybrid of chronological and functional formats. Relevant skills are listed, followed by a reverse chronological history. The combination style works well for job seekers who have a steady employment history and skills related to the job they are applying for. In addition to the examples in your workbook, you can find other examples online at sites like Indeed.ca. In the next section, Doug will take you through resume best practices.
Now, let's wrap up with a look at some best practices, do's and don'ts. Do target the information to the position you are applying for. Do use bullet points with brief key points. Do use a simple font, Arial, Verdana, or Calibri, and do use a font size between 10 and 12 points. Do write in the past tense unless you're referring to a current job, and do read the job posting carefully. What does the employer want? And please remember, don't use I or you statements. Don't use abbreviations or acronyms. Don't exaggerate your abilities or responsibilities. And don't forget to proofread. Do proofread your work for spelling mistakes or correctly spelled words used in the wrong place, like there and there. Correct punctuation. Missing words, font changes. Remember to ask a colleague, a friend, or a family member to review your resume before it goes out. However, if you find yourself stranded on a desert island with no one to proofread your resume, read the document from end to beginning at least 2 times. And even then, there's no guarantee you'll catch everything. Your message in a bottle could read, "I'm on a desert island, send kelp." Well, that's it for attention-grabbing resumes. Next up, attention-grabbing cover letters. This video will help you prepare a cover letter that has impact. Don't miss it. Lastly, YorkWorks has great services and we're always here to help. Thank you for joining us today. Contact us anytime.